Yo, hey, oh, hey, oh, yo, 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 hey, oh, yo, hey. Ugichi dama apa? Dama nangan. Ugichi dama sundi hai. Ugichi. Sik dama nanu na goy kan. Sik dama bia o goy. Ma goy. Sulu nama sa dugwasu ma bekam. Zan dama hani kukuchi dama game manasu wasing sik dama maguna dama nanu maguna zan dama hani wando ukichi sik dama nuwa sogop dama zan nisunga wando sik dama wida dama naniya na nangan sik na apa dama dewakan dama hani sik zan nisunga wando ukichi dama apa dama wisa suwa wando ukichi dama apa dama wisa nisunga wando ano dama apa sik dama nanu na sik song dama haning wando ikichi dama daibo no dama tu daibo no das dama dinaman das dama nuana toy daibo song dama nanu na sik dama wiza sima nuana sik ikichi dama apa sik dama sogo pana ma sundi hai za ma haning wando ikichi dama wiza nusinga wando dama goy wando za nusinga wando ikichi sik dama dego na degapan za nusinga wando mananga teguchi dama apa uno dama apa dama za nusinga wando sik uno dama nanga te ndua and nani dama degapan sulun duma sun dua Jesus Christ dama degapan uno dama nanga te ugichi ostum dama apa basin degama hosan.
Welcome. Welcome to our land. This is the first time in 158 years that we've been able to say that. And so my name's Darren Perry. I'm a councilman for the Northwestern Band, and I will just take a minute and announce the program for today. We're grateful for the drum group, grateful for Rios, for that blessing. We're thankful for our flag bearers. Our first speaker will be Tribal Elder Gwen Davis, former councilman and chairman of the tribe. We will have a reading of the names of some of those who passed away that day by Alicia Martinez. Following Alicia will be Utah's first congressional congressman, Representative Moore, and we're grateful that you're here. Following Representative Moore, we'll have a speaker by another tribal elder, Brian Perry. We'll have a song by Michael Gross, a councilman, and then we'll have a closing prayer by Dennis Alex. We're grateful that you're here in attendance today. Grateful that you can share this wonderful thing with us on this beautiful day. Next year, we'll have a beautiful amphitheater just to our south that we'll be able to meet at for sure. So welcome and thank you for coming.
Good morning. I was asked to say a few words on the 158th commemoration of the Bear River Massacre. My name is Gwen Timbimbu Davis. I am the daughter to Frank Leonard Timbimbu and Helen Pubaji. My paternal grandparents are Moroni Timbimbu and Amy Huchu. My maternal grandparents are Enos Sam Pubaji and Lillian Pabawina. Haganasunga, how are you? Have you ever wondered what happened to some of the people after the massacre? Well, I'll tell you some of the stories. We've continued to live and survive despite the fact we should have been reduced to non-existence by the loss of the lands and the loss of our food sources and the restricted movement of our people from one area to the next. Our way of life was changed in the blink of an eye. Our numbers have climbed and have gone through many years. Families would come to stay and leave when the weather got better. Diseases which we had no immunity against ravaged the people. Those who we thought were our friends turned against us, and yet we still had friends. Promises were often made and broken time and time again, yet we never lost faith in our dreams. And oftentimes, It became difficult for us to see our path ahead, but step by step, we moved forward with faith and perseverance. Each obstacle we encountered and overcome has made us stronger and more resilient to the future ahead. We are the descendants of those survivors. We are the generations that are bound together. A place to call our own was known as Washakie. We were determined to overcome the horrors of going through a genocide. We were children of the government and wards of the LDS Church. But Washakie became a place of safety where we could live in peace. During the 1920s, our tribal leaders were Willie Ottagary, James and John Pabawina, Eno Sam Pubaji, and oftentimes they would say to their people, "One day the government will pay us for the lands they took. You wait and see." This small band of northwestern Shoshones dared to take on the United States government. They dared to give them notice that an injustice was done to them, and they wanted compensation. It started in 1928 to 1945. They fought by taking their case to lawyers, who in turn took them to the Supreme Court in a case titled Shoshone Indians versus the United States, 324 U.S. 335, 1945. They lost the case by 5-4. During World War II, all of the eligible young men of Washakie served their country and survived to come home. But it was the beginning of the end. Some people began to move away, never to return, and others would stay and visit for a short period of time. The community started getting smaller, but they still continued to be members of the Northwestern Band of Shoshone. Again, we almost lost our identity during the 1950s. It was the time of termination. By all rights, we should have been terminated, but we were overlooked. The Indian Claims Commission was created in the late 1940s. Native Americans across the United States filed their grievances with the Indian Claims Commission about the lands being taken from them by the government. During the 1960s, the people elected Frank L. Timbimbu as their chairman. The tribe was going to fight for their compensation, despite the fact that during that period of time, there was only 178 enrolled members. They united with the Shobans and the Western Shoshones and presented their case to the Indian Claims Commission and won. During the 1980s, under the administration of Chairman Kenneth Neiman, the tribal constitution was being developed. By 1988, the Constitution of the Northwest Band of Shoshone Nation was accepted by the federal government, and we became a federally recognized tribe. Under the new governing laws of the tribe, Frank L. Timbimbu was elected once again as chairman. By 1992, Joe Lewis Alex was chairman of the tribe, and he saw the development of the healthcare system for all tribal members. At the present time, the tribe has created funding for higher education and technical schools. It has found grants for child care and low-income housing. It has created laws so we can once again hunt and fish. It has created an economic development corporation to help the people. The tribe's desire today is to expand into other areas to benefit their people. Are we still brave and courageous? Yes, we are. Will we still have obstacles and bad times? Yes, we will. And more importantly, we will continue to exist. However, it makes me sad to think of the elders who passed away, who never got a chance to see the dreams come true. But it makes me happy to know that their stories and histories can be told and passed on. And now it is my privilege to pass it on to one and all. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Alicia, and I am my grandmother's granddaughter. My grandmother was Joanne Timbimbu. Ano dis dubi, Davi wu dira, koro butsi, no ronug injo, Tinnambi, bohan tukan, kobino, Nina gutsini, doza kwan nuga, Noyo Zakwa, poet. Wowutiga mituguti, gusi kwanza, waana mutsi, pagaboi, waau nits abu. Pangazio, diza paha, paibohagan, nikuan, pasi wumtu pika, Samuel Yiga, Pagiyaha, Hanaiai, Poni, Bohi, Agosep, Divadi Soa Kuka, Kudzarup, Tagushi, Toso Soap, Agaitu, Doiwich, Kinidich. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. My name is Blake Moore. I'm the representative for Utah's 1st Congressional District. And I have prepared remarks that are now very wet. And there's a lot of points that I do want to make today. But I wanted to just start truly from the heart. And Darren and I ran against each other in an election in our political world. Neither of us having ever been politicians before. During our debate, I had not planned it, but during our debate I had mentioned, and I tried, as any good politician would do, which I'm not one of those types of people, I had made a promise. I said, I'm going to read your book, the book that you wrote about the Bear River Massacre. And that was on film. That was very accountable. A few months later, when I called Darren back to tell him that I had fulfilled that promise, he said, well, would you come? And I remember calling him. I said, Darren, there's got to be something on January 29th. I assume there's an event. And he said, well, you better believe it. There definitely is. And I'd be honored if you'd come and speak. I don't feel worthy to be able to come and speak at something to this nature. I don't feel like I've earned it. This is a special event. And the contents of his book was the first time that I had heard about a lot of this. And maybe that's why I'm here. I have 3 little boys. And I read the part in the book that talked about mothers taking their babies and taking their children and hiding in the river on a January 29th, at a day, this is supposed to be one of the warmer January 29ths we've had. Thinking about taking my boys and having to hide in a river, it never really came alive to me until I was here today on these special grounds, being a part of this event. So if nothing else that I say can really emphasize the importance of me being here today, and I truly believe this is an honor, and I appreciate it. This is about education. This is about providing a way for us to learning from our history. And the most productive thing that I have heard is, I will quote Darren Perry, I can't change history. I don't want to change history, but I can change the future, and so can you. Some of the greatest crimes in history were not caused by hatred, but indifference. And I believe it is now time for good people to stand up and make a difference. There is something so productive going on with everything associated with this site. For an interpretive center to be built here soon, and I hope to be able to be a part of communicating that and being a part of that work going forward. Darren and I'll give ourselves some credit. We did a good job at showing how we can have civil discussion. We can have a few differences of opinion, but find a way to come together. My time in Washington, I learned quickly that it's easy to be swept up in the demeaning partisanship. And this happens when we fail to see the humanity in those around us. If we can truly see another person, differences of opinions become simple differences of opinions, and they don't become hatred, and they don't become vitriol. And I'm going to do my best to continue to push that forward in our political, in our conversations in our communities. That's a solemn remembrance that reminds us our failure to see our brothers and sisters as family is what leads to division, violence, and social collapse. I'm not here to make any political statements. I'm here to honor and be a part of this great event. This is a learning experience for me, and I appreciate the opportunity that I had to interact with and now a couple different events that I've been able to attend for the tribe and the band of Shoshone Nation. And I pledge to continue to stay involved in however I can possibly do that. It's a true honor to be here today, and I just wanted to say thank you and encourage us all to do the best that we can to educate and build, and this is a model of how that's taking place. So thank you very much. It's now very gone.
January weather outdoors is not really conducive to guitar playing. So I'm not going to plug it in just because I'm not prepared to really get electrocuted here today, but I hope you can hear it. My name is Michael Gross. I'm on the tribal council for the Northwestern Band. This is a song I wrote a couple of years ago to honor those that were lost at the massacre on this day in 1863. It's one of those songs that came together very quickly. So I feel like our ancestors had a small hand in it with the inspiration. But this is the song called Bear River. The coldest winter that we ever knew, it changed us for good. What becomes of a man who lives with blood on his hands like you do? Who gets your soul? And we must all forgive, but we must not forget that we're still standing here. You can leave us for dead, and you can change all our ways like you do, but we're still standing here, and we must all forgive, but we must not forget the spirits of our dead remain with us today. 'Cause we're still standing here. Well, shame on you, and shame on me too. And we must all forgive, but we must not forget the spirits of our dead remain with us today. 'Cause we're still standing here. Thank you.
everyone. My name is Brian Perry. My mother was May Timbimbu Perry, and my grandparents were Moroni and Amy. When we first got reorganized as a tribe, and Frank was elected chairman, I was on that first tribal council, and I was the youngest member of that tribal council. And here I am standing here today, probably one of the oldest members of the tribe now. A lot has happened in the last 50 years. I think Gwen did an excellent job of telling you a brief history of what had gone on, of where we came from 158 years ago, in probably the saddest day for the tribe ever, and how we got to where we are now. I would just like to, for a minute, fill in a couple of extra things that that I know personally from what went on, and I don't want to keep us out here very much longer because who knows how long this weather's going to last. But after the massacre, of course, we were, you know, we don't know exactly how many people died here, maybe 350 to 700. Read Darren's book, it's an excellent book. But we do know that the tribe was scattered to the four winds. We really didn't have a place to go. We didn't really know where to go. We didn't know where we would be safe. And you can imagine how they must have felt. The congressman touched on this a little, saying that after being up here, he would hate to have to take his boys down into that valley down there on this cold day and then have to head out to the four winds and not know where they were going to end up. So that was a tragic day. And for many years, I would come here with my grandparents and my mother and our family, quite frankly, and we would go down there, and every time we would get there, Grandma would start to cry. And I didn't really know why, except for the fact that there was a feeling of unrest in that valley down there. It was just, it was like the people that had died there were saying, this wasn't fair. We all know life isn't fair at times, but I think that that is one of the reasons that the tribe has really stuck together, and why this was such an important site to us was that those people need the rest and the finality that comes with being recognized with a memorial. And I think that has pushed us as a tribe as much as anything else to try to get this land back and to build this interpretive center, was to finally put those spirits at rest. And not only that, I think it'll put this whole valley to rest, because I'm sure there are people whose ancestors lived up here in the Cache Valley who probably felt really bad about what happened up here too. And I think this interpretive center could be a way to heal those feelings as well. So we see this as a place where not only the Indians but the non-Indians can find as a place of refuge and a place of peace, and it'll be a place of education. And we'll talk about the differences that exist and what terrible things can happen when we have cultures that really don't understand one another. But it was certainly a sad day then. And like Gwen mentioned, we were scattered and we were split. And it took some very good people to try to get the tribe back together. Not the least of which was her father, Frank, who started in the 50s to really push hard to try to have this tribe become a tribe again, because we really weren't at that time. We were a collection of Shoshones that were governed by individual families more than anything else. We were separated by a common language. Didn't somebody in England say that one time? But that's what happened, and we had no way of rectifying these things. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints stepped in, though, sometime before that, because we were homeless and landless, and they set up a church farm in Washakie, and we gathered there, and that became a homeland to us. And it was quite prosperous for a number of years, but as Gwen mentioned, the war came, and when the war came, the young men went to the war because that's what Indians do. When our country is in trouble, Native Americans have a higher percentage of their folks that go into the military than any other group of people. So our young men went off to war. The others went off to defense plants. They went to Hill Air Force Base, which was just starting up at that time. They went to the Army Supply Depot in Ogden, the Naval Supply Depot in Clearfield, the Arsenal in Sunset. They went to find jobs. And then after the war ended, the people that were off the reservation, and we called it a reservation, although it really wasn't, didn't really see the need to come back to a place where they didn't have a job and didn't have much of a living. So finally at that time, the church decided that the usefulness of the village had passed, and they decided to sell the Washakie farm. And they did that. But they inadvertently sold some land up there that had been deeded to individual Indians. And Frank pointed that out to the church, and the church attorneys, who happen to be our attorneys now, church attorney said, the church doesn't do things like that. They don't sell other people's land. He said, yeah, they do. We have deeds. And they told him, well, you come on up. You come up to Salt Lake. We want you to come up here, and you come up alone, and we want to sit down and meet with you. And Frank looked him in the face and he said, in the mouths of 2 or 3 witnesses shall the truth of all things be established. And he wasn't about to go there alone. And he called me, and I was in law school at the time, and he called my brother, who was the director of Indian Affairs for the state of Utah, and we grabbed my father, and us 4 went down, and we met with President Spencer W. Kimball. And we sat in his office, and he said, well, what seems to be the problem? And we said, well, first of all, you sold land you didn't own. He said, how do you know? Well, Frank produced a deed. Bruce took it up to the president and showed him the deed. And the president looked up, he read it, and he looked up, he said, that's Heber J. Grant's signature, all right. You can't miss that signature. And all of a sudden, the whole atmosphere of that whole meeting changed. And he said, what can we do to help you? Can we buy this and pay for it? And Frank said, no, we need land. And the church actually went to work, and they gave us the 167 acres they took from the Portage Elders Quorum up there, and gave us 167 acres that we put in the trust, and that became the reservation. When that reservation was established, we could then become a federally recognized tribe, and we did a constitution. And the thing started, we started to reestablish ourselves again. And we started to hold meetings that were very contentious and very troubling at the time. And, but we worked through these things because that's how Indians do. You get mad at each other and you holler at each other. Then after it's over, you go sit down and eat with each other. And you become friends again. And so we work through these contentious times. And I want to tell you guys right now that the tribe has never been in better shape since 1893 than we are right now. Gwen outlined some of the things that the tribe's involved in, and it's well run and well organized. But it's not finished. There are a lot of things, a lot of opportunities that the tribe has right now to be able to still move forward and to still do things, not the least of which is to finish this interpretive center here. And this is something that really needs to be done. It's like the spirits that died here are actually calling to us from the other side to get this done. After all, folks, you've had 100 years to do it, so get it done. So we need to do that. We need to reestablish Washakie as our reservation, and there may be some opportunities to do that in the future as well. I just want you to know that we're grateful for all of you folks that have helped us, because the tribe, we realize as a tribe that we haven't done this all on our own, that we've had a lot of help from leaders in the communities that we've lived in. Box Elder County has become extremely friendly lately. The congressman and the people in Washington, he said that he was willing to help us. We're going to need, quite frankly, we're going to need his help for some of the things that we have planned in the future, and we're going to need the help of probably all of you people to get this done and to get the things completed. I'm sure that the tribe won't have everything completed during my lifetime, but from the changes I've seen since I've been alive and a member of the tribe, I think that the things that are going to happen from here on out are going to vastly be more beneficial to the tribe than the things that I've seen. And I want to thank you all for coming and for listening to this. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank everyone for coming, our councilmen, our staff, representatives, and those from BYU. If I missed anybody, I'm Dennis Alex, the chair. I appreciate your attending. I'd like to send us home with a word of prayer, so if you'd bow your heads. Tam apa, namasiki vidambith, namibuik, sikasogop, namanarawana sikithandiep, oyos namuwai miar, namandras oyos umuwagan buith, namandras umuwagan aniwan that nasapwing, sikasogop fan miar, nam oyos namuwai miar, up. Sithin namra nama pazia nama tawaya nama tora nama biara hutsia sikia pe oyos nama mi nama sube pipus umoa gavidan bidan umoa enarai ugitidam nama goyos nama sukubidan bid Namasube zanak. Namasuchidamanan dua nahak. Amen.